Well, welcome back to another podcast. We've been gone for I think more than a month, and for some reason or the other we couldn't record because one of us kept getting some or the other thing, and we couldn't really manage a time together to record the podcast. But finally, we are back, and hopefully we'll be able to start recording our weekly podcast again. And since the time we have been gone, the Euros have started, and Euro 2020, which is happening in 2021 because of COVID, and we're going to be discussing about what has happened and what is going to happen, and we're going to give our predictions too. So I think today is the 22nd, and day after tomorrow the group stages in India, at least day after tomorrow, the group stages are going to be over. But till now, a lot of teams have impressed, and a lot of teams which we did not think would impress have impressed. So we're going to start with Group A with Italy. So what do you think about Italy till now?
So Italy have been a great side, and in the last 2 year, in the last 11 games, they haven't conceded. They won all of those 11 games by a margin of more than at least one goal. And Roberto Mancini has done a wonderful job coaching that side. And from his past experience of not playing a single minute in the 1990 World Cup, he's tried to give every player of his a couple of minutes, which is another great move. So I think Italy are maybe the dark horses of these Euros because no one's expecting them to do anything, but they're playing an amazing brand of football, which I'm loving, and they've got 3 wins out of three, and they should have a good tournament ahead.
The fun fact is, I don't believe they're the dark horses because they have been going on the 30 winning streak. And like, if you come to see it through, Italy has just been under recognized for their efforts, but they have always overperformed for what they're capable of. And it's not only limited to the players, but the managing, the coaching, and everything down to the wire. Even the game they're following right now, I believe I really like the way they play right now, and I think they have a very strong shot if they do not buckle up under the pressure of the round of 16 semi-finals or finals itself.
Uh, well, you know, I have always had my doubts with Italy because, as the other big team like the Portugals, the France, the Germanys, they didn't have one superstar player like Ronaldo or Pogba or Mbappe or whoever. They so it made me a bit skeptical because I thought that these were players which were a notch above average who were doing really well playing in the Serie A. And well, me personally, I didn't think Italy would do this well. I mean, the group was easy, but I think I would have surely put them to drop a couple of points at least against Turkey, who, according to me, or according to like most people, were the actual dark horses of the tournament, and they have somehow crashed out. And it's Wales who've again progressed to the round of 16, who are going to play against Denmark. So we'll talk a bit about Wales too, because how do they keep performing well in the Euros? They reached the semi-final last time. They beat Belgium. They've reached the round of 16 again. What do you think makes them do well in these sorts of tournaments?
Well, I think the coaching and the mentality of the side really helps them. And they do overperform a little bit, but they do have the talent, right? So I think no, I don't think anyone's surprised by the way they're playing and they're doing pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, also, like, they don't lack talent, right? They have Daniel James, Gareth Bale, they have a strong lineup. It was just that were we expecting the lineup to outperform, let's say, the Germans or the French? No, we are like obviously not, and even Turkey for that matter. Even I'm in full support of what Arjun is saying. The thing I think Wales is doing is that they have no expectations up to like to live up to. Turkey might have just succumbed to the pressure of being called the dark horses, but Wales at this their game is good, and I think there's a tad bit of luck involved. Plus, talking about Denmark, we just recently the Christian Eriksen thing has just changed the paradigm of football itself. Now, like we all prayed and hoped that he was in good state, and he is. He has been discharged, but I think now then they have realized how much pressure is on these players, not only to represent their country but also to play for their clubs and continuously have a tight schedule. The involvement of the rehydration breaks, I believe that is one of the things I'll appreciate UEFA for, and the managing is not been the best, but it has been considerably better because of these Euros.
And the reason the Christian Eriksen incident, where you mention it now, was so scary was that it happened all of a sudden. He was looking really well. He was playing really well. And all of a sudden, he collapsed. Which I was watching the match, like I'm sure most of you were too, and it scared me to death. It was extremely scary, where the players who did a brilliant job, the referee, everyone involved did their jobs to the T, and that is why Christian Eriksen is healthy and is discharged from the hospital. But again, it is really scary because I think this is not the first time an incident like this happened. Abdel Haq Nouri, the Ajax youth player, he had a number 34. That's why Donny van de Beek wears 34 in the back for Man United. He was his best friend. He collapsed while playing such a game, and he was in a coma for a couple of years. He couldn't wake up. So I mean, these incidents can go bad, and that is why. And you never know when this can happen. Like it can happen anytime, anywhere. It was lucky that it happened on the football field where there were people to give him attention, and it looks like to be it looks most probably to be a cardiac arrest, but we don't know anything right now. So that is the scary part, and UEFA will have to change a bit of rules, make amendments so that if this type of incident happens again, then no, they'll have the right machinery to deal with it like they had with the Ericsson incident. Now, moving on to, I think Group B was extremely easy where Belgium just dominated. They won all three games.
Number
But,
ones,
uh,
the number
no, but
ones,
Belgium are the number one side, right? They
yeah.
won all three games pretty easily. So Denmark, Finland, Russia couldn't really pose a lot to a Belgium side who were just overpowered in every way. And I'll move on to Group C, where the Netherlands have topped the group with 3 wins out of three, but I did not expect them to. They hadn't won a game. They hadn't won their opening game for the last two or three editions. They hadn't qualified for the for the round of 16 from the last two editions. They hadn't qualified for the Euros in 2016. So I mean, doing this without Virgil van Dijk, without Matthias de Ligt, the first game was, I think it is a big achievement for them. What do you think?
No, I would give Netherlands the better half of the statement. Like, often I've heard that their group was the weakest side. But at the end of the day, it is true, but their game was way above their group. Like, even if they were in, let's say, Group D, or like in the group with England, Czech, and Croatia, I still think they would have given up a good fight to all the big big teams. Even with Belgium, I think in any group they played well. And like, thing with Netherlands is, I think they're one of those kind of teams who just need the opportunity to grab onto. Even like Memphis Depay, and the team does not lack in a good lineup. It is just that how you put them all together, and that's why kudos to the manager to pull off such like amazing games where Netherlands have been seen the dominant side by far. But my eyes are on the next group because England, Group D,
Group D.
Czech,
Well,
England, Croatia, Scotland, and Scotland was good against England. Like,
before any tournament are probably the most talked about sides in the
and
It's
tournament, where
because
all
the it's because of the English media, right? Them and Scotland are the most covered, most anticipated teams, and every year the chance of it's coming home starts, and then they end up disappointing because of different factors like the manager or the players not firing or they're lacking chemistry. So it's just an ongoing thing with England where they can't seem to get out of that hellish cycle.
yeah, just before Aryan speaks, I want to ask him a question. Do you think Gareth Southgate is the right man for England?
no, I highly doubt. Like, England has such potential. Like, like, if you look at the Champions League, the finals, even the European League, everywhere you can see amazing England players, right? Even Grealish, I think it's the right call. Sterling, everyone, like, there are literal all stars in this lineup of England. Like, this is one of, but the decisions Southgate makes gets on my nerves. I do not think he's the right manager by far. Any other manager, you know what? Any other manager of the, I'd say the top tier, top seven, big seven leagues, or whatever they think is the best call would have been better than Southgate. Southgate has just been messing around with the England team, and I he's the one guy who makes me think that England might not qualify for the group round of 16.
No,
Uh,
but they've already guaranteed their place in the round of 16. So that's good.
no, they haven't. No, they
No,
haven't.
haven't.
Actually, I think Czech Republic are first with 4 points. England are second with 4 points. Croatia and Scotland are with one. So I mean, the next match is
Yeah,
England versus Czech Republic, right? So if
they could finish
Scotland,
third and
if
still qualify
no, if Scotland
because
beat
they have
Croatia,
4 points.
No,
yeah,
no, that's the thing.
but
Right.
again, that's the thing. Like, there could be Spain could finish with 5 points, Portugal would finish with 6 points. It could be helter skelter. So we don't really know if England would qualify or not.
The
If Scotland beat the Czech Republic, then it's all in the air. And if England lose to and if England, who are England playing? Sorry, it's Scotland versus Croatia, right?
Croatia,
England versus Czech
yeah.
Republic. Yeah, yeah. So if Scotland beat Croatia and England lose to wait, I'm getting this all wrong. England are playing the Czech Republic, Scotland playing Croatia. So if Czech Republic beat England and Scotland beats Croatia, then it's going to be pandemonium.
Because then Scotland
Again,
will
They're,
so
take
they're still
England's
going to
place.
qualify because it's going to be
No, no, no.
more worse
the
So
teams.
the
four
idea
best
is,
third place teams. I mean, it
the
could be
idea
that,
is,
that England could be the fifth best third place team.
yeah. So the Czech and Croatia will qualify if this situation happens, and then Scotland might take England's position on goal difference, depending on what happens. The only six teams
Yeah,
right now who have qualified for sure is Wales, Denmark, Italy, Austria, Netherlands, and Belgium.
and Netherlands. Yeah. And I actually read a very interesting stat. I want to ask Arav about this. That the most goal goal contribution, that is goal plus assists without penalties in the last 2 or 3 years, was 77, and it was Jadon Sancho. And he was not even, and he hasn't been played for the first two group games. What do you think about that? Instead, he keeps
So
starting
adding to
and
that,
Sterling is
it's
scored in.
not just Sancho, but Sancho, Rashford, and Grealish have played a combined 67 minutes in the last two games. And
Yeah.
frankly, I don't know what's happening there. Why is Sterling starting, even though he shouldn't have started the Champions League final, which they lost. He shouldn't be starting for
I
England.
mean, he did score in
Yes,
the
he
first
did
game.
get the goal. He did get the goal, which you can't take away from him, but he isn't exactly lighting up the pitch or playing too well. I don't the thing I don't understand is like I get what Gareth Southgate started with is like his World Cup 11 from 3 years ago, playing hoping that Sterling would play that well. But why won't he make adjustments or substitutions, bringing on Rashford or maybe Grealish or Sancho for a clearly struggling Kane, for Sterling, who aren't performing?
I
And
know about Rashford.
Maguire was fit to start last game. He wasn't either. So next game, I think there's going to be a host of changes with Henderson, Maguire starting in
I don't
midfield
think he'll
defense,
start
and
Henderson though.
hopefully we'll see Sancho too.
The thing with
Uh,
I can
yeah, yeah,
defend for
fair enough.
Rashford that I have seen and read that Rashford is suffering from a shoulder blade injury.
Yeah.
So I figured it out for Rashford, and you know what? Even though he's getting on pitch, he's struggling often, and you can see it. It's fine. And I don't blame I don't see fault in Sterling, but I do agree with Arav that Southgate isn't the best strategist right now. I have read people say that England should run a false nine or a three at the front or even more. They need more offense. Their defense is doing
No,
fine.
I don't think it is a three at the front who's the problem. Uh, I think the biggest problem is the pragmatic approach, which I think Gareth Southgate takes, where he plays two defensive midfield, especially against a side like Scotland, which he knew would not attack. Why did he have to play both Rice and Phillips
Uh,
when he could have only played one
he's
of them and
taking
put
a
Grealish or
he's
Mount at the
taken a
back and then put
conservative
Grealish up front?
yeah, he's taking a conservative approach, which I understand because you don't want to lose the game. You want to guarantee your qualification, which they've done now, and hopefully they'll play with a lot more freedom versus the Czech Republic.
Well, I think that's enough about England. Where we'll just see what happens in the last group game, and I think they have qualified now. I think I just looked it up, and yeah, they have qualified. And yeah, I mean, we'll just see what decisions Southgate makes, because these decisions cannot take him to the title, according to me. You need to, you really need to risk something. If you don't risk anything, then you won't really win anything, because that is how you end up going to penalties, and that is how England end up losing most of their tournaments. So again,
At the end of the day,
it just might be that.
penalty is
Well,
the worst
yeah,
they can
the
go on to.
first, the biggest upset, which is been happening this tournament are Spain. And it's looking like if they don't win their last game, then they might not end up going to the final 16.
You
Well,
know,
they've been wildly underperforming, not in terms of possession play or passing, but in terms of finishing, because they've had 85% possession in a game. They've had all these shots and chances, but somehow they haven't been able to put them away. And I think they have a good chance of winning the last game and qualifying. And also from that group, I would like to point out that Poland are also there, which means Lewandowski is there. And qualifying for the round of 16 is a huge thing for his Ballon d'Or.
Ballon d'Or.
you know the
The
Uh,
Copa,
so,
if Messi
yeah.
wins the Copa, most probably he'll be winning it. So it's really important for Lewandowski to play well in this tournament.
Yeah. Again, I want to ask Aryan this question. Do you think Spain has too many similar type of players rather than having the full side where each player is different, each position is different? But do you think that they play a lot of similar players in most positions where it's one touch, one touch? I mean, I could understand when they had Xavi, Iniesta, they had David Villa up front, who was a completely different type of striker. Then they could go to a lot of players. Then they had PK at the back. It was a completely different lineup. But this, with they have these small players in midfield and then a striker who doesn't really know or who's not having the best time up front finishing. Moreno missing penalties.
you know
I mean, do you think Spain are really underperforming or it's because the side they picked? They didn't even go with
No,
26 players, they only went with 23.
I don't
what the
think you
thing with
can put
is
this on the manager at all
no,
because
I
he's
think
picked the correct size. It's just that they haven't been able to put those chances away. Like you mentioned, that missed penalty or Murata being offside all those times in the first two games. So they still have hope and they're
That is why
playing
you picked
well.
Harry Kane, right?
So the
I mean,
goals
the
are
first
coming.
game,
So I don't think
if
there's a lot to
the
worry.
first game, if you talk about taking the chances, Sweden should have won the game. They had two massive chances while Spain only had one. Then
you
Sweden
know
should have won it. But other than that, they didn't really create anything. And even at the back, they look unsure.
that's the thing with like if you just look at the stats of Sweden versus Spain, and I completely agree. Arjun, you're right about how we have the same side. Like Spain has the same side of players, but if you like just read the lineups on paper, Spain is such a good team. As we look at De Gea, Moreno, I mean, what they lack is the coordination. I think that's what Luis Enrique is trying to find. Like Spain versus Sweden, 86% possession Spain had, 90% pass accuracy. They had
Yet
17
Sweden had the better
shots.
chances.
Yeah, that does not make sense. You have 5 shots on target, and yet you were not able to score. Like it's not like the attack just fell apart. It's just like I think right now all these managers trying to figure out the right formula because most of these are new to this current team. The Spain we have heard of all content Xavi, um, Iniesta, all these big names, and they were there. Right now I think same goes with England. They're trying to figure out what the perfect balance is, and often they fail at it. Like their passing game is great, sure. I mean, come on, the stats speak for themselves
So
now.
But
900
do
passes.
you think that Spain relied too
Sweden
much
not
on short
having
passing? If you talk
Sweden
about,
not having Zlatan, how has that affected them? What do you think?
I don't think it's affected them at all. I mean, Marcus Berg and even though Zlatan might be a bit better, obviously he's better, but Marcus Berg and Zlatan, they're mostly like the same kind of striker where, they're big men, can head the ball, have a volley in them. So plus they have plus they have Isaac you know, who can create for them, who has the skills,
Yeah.
was a tricky type of player. But again, that is what it comes to. It's like Sweden can play both ways. I mean, they can go long or they can play short. But with Spain, it's only playing short. Because if you look at their players, it's only one touch, one touch, one touch, one to try to work their way inside the box and hopefully get a chance. They can't put a cross and hope that some of the midfielders might come make a breaking run through midfield and head the ball in because they can't. They don't
So
have that
they
type of
don't
midfield.
have that big striker like a Lukaku up front, which is hurting them a little. And they have Morata, but he's in exactly a very good space right now. So I think if they start taking the chances, they'll do pretty well. And yes, they have to create a little bit more, but it's coming. That's what I think.
Well, then we'll move on to the group of death, Group F, where I think all the big three sides will qualify if all of them get a point at least.
It
So
should,
France
but
are first, Germany a second, Portugal a third, and Hungary. I feel bad for Hungary after the performance they put in against France. But again, this is football. It's extremely cruel to you, but it is what it is. So, what do you think about the group of death? How do you think the teams have performed so far?
the group
Well,
of
there's
death.
still a lot left, if Portugal lose to France, and which is totally possible, and Germany losing to Hungary, which may happen, Portugal could finish last and be out of the tournament effectively.
No, I
But
don't think so. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
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 it
I
could
think
be, but I don't think Hungary would still qualify. Where Hungary have a -3 goal difference, so
right,
I
but
don't think they can put
that will
more
go
than
on
three
points.
past
No,
Germany.
yeah,
no,
but
that's
then both of them will be out,
so
right?
the
Portugal
idea.
will
The idea is
100% be out.
if Portugal
Yeah, yeah.
loses, right? If Portugal loses, and
Yeah,
Germany
I
loses,
understood. I understood.
so they'll Hungary will have 4 points. Germany will have three. Portugal will have three. So Hungary will qualify second.
No, 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 no. If
Possible.
Hungary actually beats Germany, they'll qualify second. Yeah,
Yeah,
you're
that's what
right.
I'm saying. So there is this like slight glimmer of hope that Hungary
Yeah.
might just make it clear, not even on goal difference, because goal difference wise they're done. They don't. But even if there's another scenario if like Hungary wins, no, if Hungary clears the deficit and the other teams draw,
No, if Hungary wins, then you've got to hope that Portugal lose to France.
yeah, or they have a very
If
bad
they
goal
if they
deficit.
draw, then Hungary won't go through. Then Germany will be
Well,
eliminated.
it's no secret that I've been supporting Portugal this year, but and like I saw the first performance versus Hungary. I'll say 3-0 was a very flattering scoreline,
Yeah.
and it wasn't exactly deserved, but they played well. And the Germany game, they got totally dismantled, and 4-2 was a fair scoreline in my opinion. Germany won 5-6. But I think the upcoming game versus France is a huge one. They have to get a point out of it somehow, and just hope that Germany lose their
Yeah,
other
That's the
game.
beauty of football, right? The uncertainty where going into the last match day, you don't really know who's going to qualify. That's so much fun to see. There's so much tension around. It's
before
brilliant.
before we go over this global play once, the one thing that Portugal versus Germany showed to me that the inexperience at the back. When we see Portugal, they
With
have
Portugal
good
or with Germany.
Portugal. Like
I don't
if
think
you
it's inexperience though. I mean, Pepe is 36.
yeah, but like
Playing the-
this link the chemistry is not there. As far as I know, the first two goals were absolutely avoidable. Same with the set pieces of the fourth goal. You can't just leave your man. You can't just run off. You
I
can't
think
just own goal. It is
I think
justified.
even
Yeah,
that.
and Ruben Diaz, who was getting shouts for the Ballon d'Or and playing so well for City, I don't know what's happened to him. He's gone into a thing and he's stopped performing at all beside
Well,
Pepe. So I don't know if it's a fitness thing or a chemistry thing, but he has to start performing pretty quickly.
to all the Ruben Diaz and Man City lovers, I actually have a stat for you. Ruben Diaz this season versus, he kept whatever, the amount of clean sheets he kept, clean sheets he kept. Phil Jones kept more clean sheets during the 17-18 season. Did he get a shout for the Ballon d'Or? No, he became was a meme god. So, I mean, that is how hyped up a player can be made if the
I
I
was I
can see a
was
Man City fan hating.
yeah.
Well, those are the
So
stats. I mean, there are stat lovers out there who would love to show that Van Dijk's better than Vidic, where he's just not. So I
it's
mean, I mean, Diaz is obviously better than Phil Jones, but these are just
the
stats. So
stats, sure, but at the end of the day, if you like to end all the Man City Manchester United dispute, I just go on they give the idea of Belgium. Lukaku and KDB are the best combination you can get in a team, and they're absolutely
yet they
showing
don't
it.
win any big tournament.
Who knows? Maybe this is the year.
I still don't think they'll be able to win anything in the near future. They, they're not experienced enough.
Yeah. So before before
They're not perennial winners
yeah, I agree.
like
But
Germany or France or even Portugal for that matter.
so before I Going on to the perennial winners and who might win. What are your top four? Does not have to be a fixture, just the top four you think will go on.
Now, go on, Arav.
So I don't think England will be there in the semis, quite honestly. For me, it's France should be the eventual winners. As a Portugal hopeful, I'm hoping they first qualify and then they go ahead realistically. I think they can make it. I don't know about it. Belgium should definitely be there. They're playing very well this year. And they're playing like the number one ranked team in world football. And for the four team, I don't know. Anybody could take it. It might just be Germany because on their day, they're the best team to watch with Kimmich in the holding role with Muller, Gnabry, Sane up front. It's the all Bayern team, and we know how good that team is. So
Well,
there's a
yeah.
lot yet to come, and I think France are going to be the eventual winners because they have the chemistry and they have the firepower.
For me, I'm going for Germany to win this tournament. I just am. Their side might look a bit inexperienced, but the players they have, not only the players, the chemistry with Germany, even the 2014 World Cup, which superstar did they have? Miroslav Klose was ending his career, was nearing the end of his career. It was Muller, Kroos,
It was
none of them would
Ozil,
be.
Khedira, it was Lam, it was another Bayern Munich team playing
Yeah, it
pretty
was it
well
was
at that
basically a
moment
Bayern team
after
who
the
linked
treble
together so
win.
well that even today most of the team is Bayern, and that is why I feel that they would win because they can turn a screw like that. They can completely destroy the opposition if they wanted to, like they did against Portugal. And even against France, a dominated possession. They were probing more than France could. Yet they couldn't create anything. That is kept to one side. But they looked really good against France too, even if they lost. So I'm going with Germany. Then I'm obviously going with France. I don't think Portugal will get there. It's sad, but I really like Portugal. But Portugal will not get there. I'm going with Italy and the Netherlands.
I'll tell you one thing. In 2013, Bayern won the treble, and the next year Germany won the World Cup. In
Well,
2020,
Bayern won the
Bayern won the
quadruple
treble.
last year.
21,
I think
oh
Quadruple.
yeah.
it's gonna be, yeah. I agree with both of your options except Portugal and Italy. I think Italy's in good form, but top four is hard, and I'm gonna go
No, but
on
the way
this.
Italy are playing,
They
they're,
might, they
that's the
might,
thing.
but one slip up and they're done, right? So my preference is all by my guts. It's gonna be England, Belgium for sure, France and Germany. France
Yeah,
has been performing
yeah,
well.
it
Germany
could be.
is,
It could be.
yeah. The only asterisks I have, really big asterisks I have, is on England. Because looking at the current Belgium form, they will make it through. They have been playing well. But England, if Southgate does not get his things wrapped up altogether, they are gonna fall apart so easily. It's gonna take one goal and they're gonna end up with a 5+ goal difference or something. It's gonna take one mistake.
Yeah, but the only problem for me is Belgium in this tournament. Even if their forward line might look like goal beaters, their defensive line is getting old, and it's not. Even in the World Cup, they went 2-0 down to Japan. It's only like Marouane Fellaini and Vertonghen with some kind of looping header, which we haven't seen in years, made them win that match. The last minute goal by Chadley and all that. Even in the Euro, they got hammered by Wales 4-1. After going ahead with the Nangolan bullet from like 20, 30 yards out. So they're just they're just too unpredictable. On their day they can beat anyone, but if it is not their day, they can lose to anyone too. So
Yeah. I think that wraps it up. At the end of the
according to
Euros
me,
is,
Italy are the real dark horses of this tournament, like going forward into the elimination stages.
yeah, I agree. I agree. Like they're very unpredictable as well. So I think at the end of the day, what matters is we wrap up with the group of 16. We'll figure this out. We'll see the fixtures and we'll make the
Yeah.
final predictions depending on that. Because right now the fixtures aren't really sorted, and I think that does it. I think
We'll come back to you next week, and if we got our predictions right, we'll be all smiling. But if we did not, then there'll be banter thrown around for sure. So
I'm so sure I'm gonna scream at Southgate. Watch me just thrash him the next week.
I
Anyways,
think they
I'm just
qualified. So
hoping Ronaldo and Fernandes do something for Portugal. If
more
they
than
go out,
Ronaldo's
I'm going to
Fernandez.
throw
If
hands.
he gets there, then Ronaldo gets his goal. So You could see that if Fernandez wasn't on the ball, then they weren't really creating anything. Even Jota on the left hand side wasn't really doing anything. So, anyways, we'll end it
Jota has
now.
been a travesty this tournament. The first match and the second match, missing all
Yeah.
chances. Oh my god.
Yeah. Well, we'll we'll end on that. It was really nice to do a podcast again, and hopefully we'll come back next week. We'll find a common time which works, and we'll
Keep
throw
you
around some banter
posted.
again.
Yeah, and posted on stories. We'll write down the predictions, everything, and then it will be on paper, however it
Uh,
happens. Anyways, see you next time.